Okay, we'll get started now. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. This is a webinar by PEAT on making workplace technology more accessible. So we've got Josh Christensen and Corinne Wiebel, both from PEAT, joining us today. And I'll just run through some logistics before we get started. We offer a live captioning service, which has the link posted at the bottom of the screen and is also entered into the chat box that you can just click on to access the captioning. We'll be recording this presentation and uploading it onto our YouTube channel next week. We will email all registrants a copy of the presentation and the link to the recorded webinar, as well as the presentation and transcript. During the presentation, everyone is set to mute, so please do use the chat box to the right of your screen if you have any questions during the presentation. Feel free to type them in at any time, and we will get around to answering any questions at the end of the presentation. If you're not able to access the chat box for any reason, you can also email me your questions directly at gnagel@gettinghired.com. At the end of the webinar, you'll see a few questions also pop up on a new page asking about your thoughts on the webinar. Please do let us know what you thought of it, if it was useful, if you've learned anything new, and also how we could improve, and if there are any topics or any initiatives or organizations, anything that would be of use to have a webinar on to help you in your career development. Just a very quick thank you to our webinar sponsor, Wesco, who is a Fortune 500 company and a leading distributor of electrical construction products and electrical and industrial maintenance, repair, and operating MRO supplies. They're one of Getting Hired's employer partners, so they're actively seeking job seekers with disabilities. They're headquartered in Pittsburgh, and they seek dynamic individuals in all stages of professional development who are interested in taking a leading role in an entrepreneurial environment and looking for a fast-paced, rewarding career in sales or supply chain management. You can find hundreds of their job openings right now on gettinghired.com, and they have a lot of positions, particularly in Pennsylvania, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Arizona. So feel free to search and apply for those on Getting Hired. Okay, so now I will just introduce you to our two presenters today. We've got Josh Christensen, who is PEAT's project director. He's overseeing the day-to-day activities at PEAT and the strategic initiatives. Prior to his role at PEAT, Josh worked at Deloitte Consulting, leading change management, technology, and human capital initiatives at the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Department of Veteran Affairs. While at Deloitte, Josh was a lead author of the report Opening the Federal Talent Economy, and prior to Deloitte, Josh served as a career program manager for the Posse Foundation, which is a college access program focused on diversity and inclusion. We also have Corinne Wiebel, who is PEAT's Deputy Project Director. She holds over a decade of experience in directing programmatic development, grant management, and communication strategies at nonprofit institutions nationwide. Prior to her work at PEAT, Corinne served as outreach manager for the Finger Lakes Library System, where she led advocacy campaigns, professional development programs, and community outreach efforts to help diverse populations access the library services. As Director of Programs for the National Council for History Education, she oversaw professional development events for teachers nationwide as well. So
thank you so much, Deb. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank Thank you both so much for joining us.
Yes, we're delighted to be here, particularly to talk about, why the Department of Labor considers this to be such an important issue and how we're going about solving it. So PEAT stands for the Partnership on Employment and Accessible Technology. We are funded by the Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy, and we're an initiative to advance the employment and retention of people with disabilities through the development, adoption, and promotion of accessible technology. So I'm going to start out with a really quick walkthrough of our website, peatworks.org, because it is the main kind of portal for all of our resources, and also just kind of as a place to bring in all the diverse people that are involved in this issue. We found that there are kind of three major groups, being employers, technology providers that are building technologies used in workplaces, and of course individual employees, tech users. So I've got up on screen our homepage, and I'd really encourage you all to take a look. We offer a number of free webinars every month. Every month we do a monthly PEAT Talks webinar series, again pulling a lot of different people from different areas around this topic. We just had one yesterday with a web developer named Denis Boudreau talking about really simple tricks from a web developer's perspective to make an online job search more accessible. What employers can do. And we have a lot of spotlight interviews. I've got up on screen one with the World Wide Web Consortium, Sean Henry, which sets the WCAG standards that are kind of the accepted guidelines on accessibility. So please do explore our site more for those resources every month. PEAT also does a lot of policy analysis and action alerts when there are issues kind of going on that could potentially impact this issue. And I do want to draw attention that there is one right now. The EEOC has proposed changes to Section 501 of the Rehabilitation Act. They are available for public comment right now through this Monday, April 25th. And we have up on our homepage right now kind of a plain language discussion of why this is related to this issue of accessible workplace technology, and it could potentially impact things very much. So I'd encourage all of you to make a comment. It's a pretty easy process and a great way to make your voice heard if you're interested in this issue. And we also have a pretty high-level analysis up as well for the policy wonks if you're interested. So that's on our homepage right now. And PEAT also does a lot just related to trying to get conversations, again, between those different groups. We call this area of the website Join the Conversation, which offers a lot of ways for you to engage with this issue. And the probably most interesting one is our video conversation series on certain topics. Right now I have up on screen one we did about the question, if you were riding in an elevator with a Fortune 500 CEO, what's your pitch for why implementing accessible technology matters? And then we've got some really high-level folks, Lori Golden from the financial firm Ernst & Young, an accessibility consultant, Mark Paciello, a representative from Canon USA, all weighing in on the topic. And anyone, any of you listening now could also submit your response. You can submit that either a written comment or upload a video, and as long as it meets our posting guidelines, we'd love to post it. PEAT also offers a lot of resources for employers that I'm not going to go into now, but that's all kind of gathered into a big accessible technology action steps guide. And for individuals, we have a number of resources as well, and a lot of them do relate to acting as an advocate, particularly internally within an organization that you may be an employee of. We've seen a lot of success stories with, if you can get that high-level support, changes will happen. So we have a lot of resources geared along how you can encourage your employers to care and how to point them in the right direction. So please do explore that more. But today we're really focusing on kind of a lot of the work we've done so far in beginning to tackle this issue. And so I'm just going to go right back to the beginning to when we first formed PEAT. We started at the beginning, and we really started at what we call the employment life cycle in examining that. And Gabby, do you have the poll ready? Because we'd like to, first off, ask all of you the question.
Yep, I'm just pulling up the polling now.
Sorry.
Here we go.
Yeah, and the question is, where have you experienced non-accessible technology issues in the workplace? And if you could all weigh in, the choices are the recruiting phase, hiring and onboarding, work immersion and productivity, career advancement, retention, and post-employment and retirement.
Oh, Corinne, I think you do. I think you can press open poll there.
Okay.
Yep, worked great.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we got any responses. We might have.
We're starting to get some. Just give it a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Just another couple of seconds for anyone that wants to give us feedback on where you've experienced non-accessible technology in the workplace.
Yeah. And I think, can everybody see them? I'm not sure, but the results are very much in line with what we've found. And it's really the recruiting phase that a lot of people anecdotally tend to have the most problem with, just getting their foot in the door, because the application process online can also often have a lot of accessibility issues. And I see from this poll that 57% are reporting that. 14% say hiring and onboarding, and another 14% say work immersion and productivity. And then another 14% I haven't experienced any, which is great. Thank you all. So, yeah, again, this is very much what we've used to scope out kind of all of the different areas where accessible technology does come up in workplaces, and what, we wanted to look at more specifically. And like the results suggested, that was very much what we heard as well, that the recruiting phase, due to the ubiquity of online applications today, unfortunately, there are often a lot of inaccessibility issues. So now we started with just kind of that anecdotal data, but the next step we took was doing a series of interviews with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, along with national advocacy groups that serve people with disabilities, and also a lot of the top developers, particularly of software behind online job applications. So we did a series of interviews to see kind of what things were like from their perspective, if they felt the same way. And they identified as well a lot of issues with online job applications in the process as well. From the interviews, the most number one issue that people brought up was awareness, that there simply was not an awareness that this was even an issue. Employers were not aware at all that a lot of people were not able to submit applications to them because of these sort of problems. Another issue that we identified was that a lot of times employers were purchasing products they thought were accessible because they were labeled as being compliant, and not really thinking about testing them for usability or checking up on whether they actually were accessible. A lot of it is also simply complexity, that this issue involved a lot of understanding of technology, logistics, potentially cost, that it was just too much for them to get their heads around. And another one was that a lot of these problems came from customization, that a product might be accessible out of the box at the beginning, like when it leaves the factory, but if an employer customizes it, it might lose that. So, PEAT, from here on, last year we held a large national survey of people with disabilities, asking for input from people who had applied to a job within the last year to see if they had had any issues. We got a great response thanks to a lot of partnerships with national advocacy organizations. We had over 500 responses. And I'm just going to go through a few of the key findings now before we get into how we kind of tackle these issues. But one of the first big points that surprised us was the increasing role of social media during job searches. 50% of survey respondents use social media as part of their job search process, and 37% said they experienced accessibility or usability issues when using social media. And I do want to call out that a lot of the social media companies are increasingly aware that accessibility is an issue. We've had some great advances by both Twitter and Facebook in the last few weeks. So they are definitely increasingly recognizing the importance of accessibility for their users. But in terms of job applications, our survey respondents, 46% rated their last experience in applying to a job online as difficult to impossible. And of those, 9% were unable to complete the application and 24% required assistance. So this was, of course, huge to us in really confirming what a huge issue this is. And also, pre-employment testing came to us, again, as a bit of a surprise, but these days, if you are applying to a job, it's extremely likely you're going to be asked to complete an additional test, which is almost certainly going to be online. It might be a skills assessment, it might be a personality test, but almost 70% of respondents were asked to complete some sort of pre-employment testing. And like with online job applications, there's still issues with accessibility. Almost 40% said that they experienced difficulties or were unable to complete the testing materials. So the top issues that we found in our survey were complex navigation as part of online job applications, a lot of timeout restrictions, a lack of video captioning, images lacked alternative text, there was poor screen contrast, inaccessible form fields, and often input options required using a mouse. And of course, the good news is that these are very simple issues to fix generally, but again, it's an awareness issue where people just don't realize they're not taking these simple steps. So last fall, PEAT published the finding reports in a larger report called E-Recruiting and Accessibility. Is HR technology hurting your bottom line? We also did an infographic that kind of summarizes the information. And yeah, now I will turn it on to Josh to discuss what we did after we got these results.
Josh, are you on the line? You might be muted. Press *6 if you think you're muted.
Josh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
*6. Sorry about that, and I'm on a new phone. Oh, thank you, Corinne, and thank you all for allowing us to share a little bit about PEAT, and I commend you for joining today and learning a little bit of new stuff. I'm going to, now that I'm presenter, share my browser so that I can show you a little bit about the new resource that we just put out. Let me see. Are you all able to see the browser now?
Yep, we can see that fine.
Okay, super. And is it on TalentWorks?
It is indeed.
Awesome. So I'll just give you a brief overview. This is really a tool for employers. So we geared it towards employers to help them resolve and know some of the leading practices that can make their e-recruiting more accessible that we found through the pain points of the survey that Corinne referenced. And so we recently rolled this out. We're very excited. We had the Deputy Secretary of Labor announce it at a CSUN conference in San Diego last month. We just had SHRM, which is the Society of Human Resources Managers, put an article about it. So we're really hoping to bring awareness and have an impact with employers so that folks know that they can maximize their talent pool and make their online job applications and connected processes as accessible as possible. So we're excited about the tool. Please check it out, share it. I know, again, it's for employers, so not necessarily geared towards you, but we'd love feedback, and maybe you'd find interest in passing it on to other folks. I'm just going to highlight a few quick things. We've tried to make it interactive. There's some multimedia in here with videos. You don't need to watch that guy. He's boring. We've got polls, similar to the one you just took, that can really get your feedback. But also at the bottom of each page, there's information about how you can weigh in further, how you can join the conversation, tell us what maybe a resource that works for you, maybe submit an idea. And so PEAT is really focused on being interactive, so I would encourage you to check out TalentWorks and our whole site and kind of weigh in and see what resources you find useful and maybe help us add some to the fold. But to focus on TalentWorks today, I'll just say that we have a kind of an introduction that really tells you a little bit about how we got here, that Corinne covered, and then we move towards kind of e-recruiting accessibility. And this is still an overview. It's kind of to employers, why is this important? What will you get if you invest in accessibility? It gives them some tips on how to make sure you're buying accessible e-recruiting products. So when they're talking to the technology folks that provide these job platforms and what they call applicant tracking systems, what do they ask? How do they know to make sure that the tools that they're using are accessible? So we try to provide that if they're not aware. Really the bulk of it is here on the making your e-recruiting tools accessible. We've broken it down into 3 sections here. The talent sourcing, and so that's really when they're marketing, they're reaching out to you. Maybe that's on social media or on their website. How do they make sure that when they're kind of reaching out to job applicants that they're making sure their messages are accessible? And then the bulk of it is really the online job applications themselves. So I'll just click there to give you an idea. We really talk about if you're using it, how do you make it as accessible as possible? So the pain points that Corinne referenced, we provide some solutions, whether it's about navigation, the form fields that you have to go in and fill out. What are the problems and how can they make it more simple? And so we've got some basic guidelines to employers and their technology folks on how to make their resources more accessible so they can get more folks applying. After that, we do go a little bit into kind of pre-employment testing and digital interviewing. I don't know if you all have found this, but there's a rise in what we found pre-employment testing. Maybe you apply and then you get a new kind of a test or a personality, a skills inventory, some other kind of automated step in the process. And we found that, as Corinne mentioned, can have a lot of accessibility issues. So we're trying to raise awareness around that and make sure employers are having all of their tools and pieces accessible. And this is just the beginning. We have just recently launched it. As I said, it's just been a couple of weeks. We're going to add to it. This is not a static resource. We want to keep adding to it over time. We do have this link I just clicked on, the resource library, where we try to consolidate all of these resources about accessible e-recruiting onto the back page. So if you're not sure kind of what part, you can click here and scroll through and find the various resources that we add, and again, we'll be looking to add to it. And if you all have feedback on things we should be adding, maybe you didn't find what you were looking for, maybe have an idea or success story, we would encourage you to chime in and contribute that to PEAT so we can continue to build this resource for others. This is focused on employers. We are doing some other work that's really for developers and designers, so the people that are making these websites and designing them. And we have some user resources as well that Corinne referenced, and we look forward to building those in the future. But I just appreciate the partnership Getting Hired helped put some of these resources together. We appreciate having the time to speak with you today, and I'll close it up there and see if we have any time for question and answers before we wrap up.
Thanks very much, Josh. So if anyone has any questions at all about online accessibility when it comes to job searching, maybe a problem you've experienced yourself, or something you think employers should be doing, you know, we're very interested in any questions you have. If there's a, oh, I think we're still viewing your browser, Josh.
Is it still? I just tried to stop sharing it.
Stop sharing it.
Mm-hmm. If you just press make Getting Hired presenter, you should be all right. But yep, feel free to send us any questions in the next few seconds. If there's anything you want to know while you have Josh and Corinne here, the experts.
Yeah, Josh, if you want to advance it one more, one question we'd love you to answer is what should be next? And of course, you can submit this on the site too. As Josh mentioned, TalentWorks is very interactive. We're really interested just in individual stories. I mean, even just like anecdotally, what issues should we tackle that is related to accessibility in the workplace? You know, online job applications turned out to be a huge point of, you know, where we felt like there was a lot of problems and a lot that we could offer in terms of resources. So we're kind of trying to figure out what the next steps are now and where we go from here. So we'd love to hear from you with ideas, yeah, if you have any right now.
And I'm sorry, I can't seem to figure out, how do I pass highlight Getting Hired in the participant panel? Okay, let me see there. Sorry, here we are.
But yeah, if you want to just, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat window right now.
All right, I think I figured out. I think I made that technology change.
Well done.
Yeah,
got it.
Sorry. So long.
No, that's fine.
All right.
Okay, so, yeah, if anyone has any questions in the next few seconds before we end the webinar, feel free to type them in now or email me, gnagel@gettinghired.com.
And while they're doing that, I'm just going to run through that you can stay in touch with PEAT through a lot of ways. We've got a great newsletter, and you can sign up for that on the bottom of our website on any page. We're also on social media a lot, both on Twitter and Facebook, with the handle PEATWorks for both. It's a great way to contact us, and we have a lot of Twitter chats and that sort of thing, too, on these topics. And you can also email us at info@peatworks.org.
Thanks for joining us today, and I commend you all again for adding to your knowledge and resources, and we do hope you check out peatworks.org.
Okay, thank you both so much for your time. And yeah, I would really highly encourage any job seekers with disabilities to access PEAT's site, because it really is very interactive. It has every resource you can really think of around online accessibility, particularly when it comes to the recruiting stage. So yeah, you can leave questions on their site, like they said, leave ideas or suggestions, and really it's just about getting the awareness out there to as many employers as possible. So if you're providing that feedback to employers that you are coming into contact with, that's another great way to actually get their awareness improved and try and get online accessibility to be a priority for all employers, just to make it that bit easier for people with disabilities to be able to access more job opportunities. But thank you so much again, both of you, for joining, and I think we'll wrap it up here. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.